All right, let's knock this one out. Tuesday night, we play Thursday night, so may as well just say my piece. So first off, things feel pretty down right now. I mean, I've been pretty depressed about what's been going on with this team for the last couple days, and it's tough for me to really back off what I said in my last video about this team and this season. And you know, I knew that this team was not going to fire somebody during a short week. We had, only a few days to prepare for our next game. So, obviously, if we were going to make some massive change, it was not going to happen this week. But I kind of stand by in that that's what I want to see happen at the next opportunity, which would probably be the bye week. But I might feel differently by then. So all you can do is watch the games. I'm just a fan. All you can do is watch. But, you know, obviously different fans have different perspectives on how this season has gone so far. And if you're still optimistic, then, credit to you guys. If there's a Seahawks fan watching this right now who's still optimistic about this season, then, props to you, but I can't do it for multiple reasons. For one, I think that the problems are explainable. I don't think they're just random fluky stuff that happens. Like blowing fourth quarter leads over, blowing a few fourth quarter leads in a small stretch of time is possibly explainable by random variance and luck. But I absolutely believe that Chris Richard, a rookie defensive coordinator who might be in over his head, might just not know how to manage the end of a game, because that's when things are happening fast and you have to make decisions fast. And I can absolutely see a scenario where a defensive coordinator panics at the end of a game when everything's flying at you really fast. So when I see him blitzing too much in the fourth quarter and leaving the secondary out to dry, then it kind of makes sense to me that this is what's going to happen until Chris Richard gets a little more experience and settles down. And we don't have time for that. And on the other side, the offensive line is bad. Pro Football Focus, by some metrics, has them as the worst offensive line in football by a pretty wide margin. So that is no longer just a fluke. That is no longer just the way the league is going. I mean, if we had a below average offensive line, I would have written that off. But the worst offensive line in football is now, you can make a legitimate argument for it. So these are things that are not going to go away. Chris Richard is still a rookie, and the offensive line personnel is what it is. We can't really make any changes. So, I don't know. There's a lot to be irritated about. And here's the thing. If we go out and we play a great game against the Niners on Thursday night and win, and for the record, I do actually think we are going to beat the Niners. I mean, we're a bad team right now. We are. The Seahawks are a bad team. The Niners, they're really bad. I mean, they're getting waxed. I mean, they got plastered in week 2 and week 3. And the Packers, I mean, they controlled that entire game they controlled the whole game. So that's they make our badness look downright tame in comparison. We're in every game we play. The 49ers can't say that. So I do think we'll win. We might even look good. We might even show up and, quiet the haters a little bit and make us all feel a little better. But here's the thing. If they do, if they come out and play good against the Niners, yeah, I'm going to be happy because I hate the Niners and I want to see my team win. But I'm also going to be kind of pissed off. Like, it took a 2-4 start for you guys to pull your heads out of your asses. Well, okay, I'm not even going to say that because I'll still say, well, it's the Niners. They're worse than us. When you play a good team, you can't take care of business at the end of the game. So if you take care of business against the Niners, I'm just going to say, well, the Niners are bad. But even if the team gets on a hot streak and they win in Dallas and they come in off the bye week with 3 home games and they win those 3 home games, I'm still going to say, why the hell did it take a 2-4 start for you guys to wake up? Because the unfortunate reality of our situation is that it's probably already too late. And when I say things like this, I want to emphasize the expectation for this team this season was to be one of the best teams in the league. I would say the Final Four. The expectation was to at least make the NFC title game. The goal, the realistic goal for this team was to win the Super Bowl, obviously, because that's the hype and level of play that they had established for themselves before the season started and in previous seasons. But somewhere in there was where the team was supposed to end up. So let's say everything goes right the whole rest of the season. Let's say we turn it on. Let's say this loss to the Panthers wakes them up and they run the table and they go 12-4. What then? That is as good as we can do at this point. I mean, the best you can do is win out. And, obviously I have my doubts that they can even do that, but let's say they do. 12-4. Okay. The Packers, let's talk about them because right now they're clearly the best team in the conference, the Green Bay Packers. They're undefeated right now, and they hold the tiebreaker. So they're basically 5 games up on us. And if it sounds a little ridiculous that I'm talking in these long-term goals, please keep in mind that long-term goals were what I had in mind before this season started. So I'm comparing them to that. The Packers, we would obviously need them to go 11-5 or worse for us to jump them, because if we go 12-4 and they go 12-4, they would win the tiebreaker unless there's a 3-way or a 4-way, which throws everything off. Well, Packers still have to play the Lions twice. They play the Bears one more time, and they have a home and home against the Vikings. So that's pretty much 4 guaranteed wins right there. That gets them to 10. They play the Raiders. That gets them to 11. And at that point, they only need to win one more game against, they got the Broncos. They got the Vikings on the road. They got, I think they got the Panthers. They have the Cardinals. That might be every game they play. I might be missing 1 or 2. But point is, they're already so far ahead of us. Catching them is almost unfathomable. So there goes your 1 seed. The Panthers are undefeated, and they beat us head-to-head, so they own that tiebreaker too. So we would need the Panthers to win the division at 11-5 or worse. And if the Panthers get to 11-5 or worse, then they're probably not going to win the division. It'll be Atlanta. So then we would want Atlanta to win the division at no better than 12-4 and hope we win the tiebreaker. Or 11-5 and then we win outright. But if that's the case, then it would mean that one of those 2 teams, Atlanta or Carolina, really kind of fell off in the second half of the season. Or at the very least, we would need Atlanta to lose 1 more divisional game. And they've already lost to the Saints once. They played the Buccaneers twice. And obviously, we would need them to beat Carolina twice in this scenario. So odds are, our ceiling, the best we can realistically hope for, is the 3 seed. I mean, if we do win out, 12-4 would win the division because we would be guaranteed to be ahead of Arizona if we win out. But you're probably stuck at the 3 seed. First round, you're playing, it might be Atlanta or Carolina. It might be Philadelphia or New York or Dallas. It might be the Vikings. It might be whoever. They come to the CenturyLink Field. You can win that game. Great. Then in the divisional round, you're going to Atlanta or Carolina. You could win that game. You could lose that game. It could go either way. I mean, I'm not terrified of having to go into Atlanta or Carolina and winning a game. We've done it before, but it's not a game I feel great about. Even if we had won 11 in a row leading up into that game, you're still talking about playing a team that just had a bye week. And then even after that, if you win that game, let's say you win that game, you're going to Lambeau. No matter what you do for the rest of the season, even if you win all your games, and even if you perform at the highest possible level you can reasonably expect, you're still going to Lambeau to play for the NFC title. And I'm sorry, I know the game we played again in Lambeau in week 2 was close. I know we played good. I know if we made a couple more plays, we could have won that game. That's not a game that I'm looking forward to. So if we did all that, we would make it to the NFC title game, and I could say, okay, we had a passable season given the expectations. I could live with that. But that's the ceiling. That's what I mean by saying it's too late. This team was supposed to compete for the number 1 seed, because a number 1 seed for this team is obviously a huge deal, because home field advantage is everything to this team. So instead of me sitting here saying that a first round bye is pretty much out the door, and I believe it's very close to being out the door, if not already, I'm already talking about let's just get the 3 seed. That's our ceiling. The 3 seed and an NFC championship loss to the Packers is now our ceiling. Given that we started the season, and I felt like our ceiling was winning the Super Bowl, I'd say that's a pretty big step down. So when I say the season is over and all this doom and gloom talk, that's what I'm talking about. The problem is, I'm looking ahead, and I'm saying that even if we win 12 in a row and find ourselves in the NFC title game in Lambeau against the Packers, that's too much to ask. I don't see that happening. I don't see us winning that game if we even get that far. So the best case scenario for this team is not where it needs to be. So that's why I say that even if we figure this out and have our come to Jesus moment now and go on a great run, I'm going to say we waited too long. It's too late now. You needed to win at least one of the last 2 games. You might have needed to win both. At 13-3 and 14-2, that gives you the opportunity to pass the Packers, or at least get a first round bye. But the problem is, it's already too late. I think it's already too late. Even if you figure it out now, I'm just going to look at it and like, well, why couldn't you figure this out, a couple weeks ago? So that's where I'm at right now. It's not a very happy place, but all I can do is watch the games. So this game against the 49ers, I think their defense is pretty good. It's not great. Obviously, they gave up a lot of points to the Giants. They gave up a lot of points to the Steelers and the Cardinals, but I think their defense can do some things. Mainly Aaron Lynch, and Navarro Bowman is still a pretty good player. Not quite what he used to be, but he's still pretty good. And they should be able to do some stuff, and I don't trust this offense against anybody right now. But this offense we're playing, the 49ers offense, I mean, the only guy on their defense who I really have much to say about, I'm sorry, on their offense, who I really have much to say about at this point is Carlos Hyde. That guy's pretty good. Carlos Hyde can do some stuff, but Kaepernick's been better the last 2 games, but I still don't think very much of Colin Kaepernick. I mean, if Colin Kaepernick beats us, then I will know it's over, because Kaepernick's never had a good game against us. So if we fall into the point where freaking Colin Kaepernick can beat us, then you may as well start trading players, really. I don't think any of their receivers, except for Torrey Smith, are much of anything at this point. And, Torrey Smith, he's a good player, but he's not really very well utilized in what the 49ers are doing on offense. So, Anquan Bolden, I think he's obviously gotten a little old at this point. Vernon Davis is a very little factor at this point in his career. I don't know. They don't have a lot going on that offense. So if this defense can't stifle them, then I'll know it's done. So I'm going to hope we win. I'm going to hope we do well. I'm going to hope we go on that second half run and at least put ourselves in a position to make the season look somewhat respectable. But like I said, it's already too late. To be perfectly honest, for us to realistically have a chance going forward, we should be 5-1 right now. Should have closed out the Rams, should have closed out the Bengals, should have closed out the Panthers. If you're at 5-1 right now, it doesn't even matter that the Packers have 2 games on you. You can catch them. But this, it's too much. And making the playoffs for this team is not enough. Winning one playoff game for this team is not enough. Those are the expectations we have. So yeah, I know most of this video was more like talking about how futile things look and not very much about the 49ers, but I feel good enough about this game. We should manage to win and pretty much end the Niners season, but I just don't know how much it means. So I'll see you guys after the game. Well, maybe not. If they don't win this game, you might have to check me into a freaking hospital or something. But sad times. See you guys later.